Okay, so staying with you, Joshua, for a minute is like you've been in this role for what, about 5 months, 6 months, something like that, or longer?
Like 4 months, yeah.
4 months. Okay. So what is it that I mean, you must have had some idea as to, hey, what does this job entail, or what does software development mean? What are some of the aha moments for you now that you've been in there, saying, hey, so what it looked from the outside versus what's in? So I'm just trying to figure out, for somebody looking out, it's like, hey, watch out for these things, or hey, this thing is great, but you need to pick up these things, whether it's soft skills, whether it's technical skills. What are the things that you've learned at work right now, which you probably didn't know coming in?
Yeah, one of my aha moments was certifications. Because even though you can still learn a vast amount online, sometimes it's still good to get certified just to say that, so folks know that you're like a pro,
Hmm.
or at least you're familiar with what you're doing. The other one was that you don't really need to code all the time in order to be a developer.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes, yeah, you get caught up in this coding, and again, any advice you have from people coming in? So certifications one. Anything else that from is there an aspect of soft skills that you think isn't talked about as much from a software programming perspective?
Communication, normally, like some techies are just like normally either antisocial or they just like to be on the computer, like in the code. No, you got to communicate everything, like literally you got to communicate everything. So I'll definitely say work on that soft skill.
Got Okay. So Nicholas, coming to you, same question to you, right? You've been at Experian for what, 6 months?
Yeah, about 4 or 5,
Okay.
actually.
So and again, what's again things that you knew coming in and they're exactly what it was, and things that were.
I mean, I think it's different for every role and stuff like that. Like generally, like they put kind of like in the job description, like what the job's going to be about, but then you get into it and they're always throwing additional things at you, or they tell you that, oh, you're going to be doing this thing, and then they decide once you get in there, oh wait, no, we need help on this. So I mean, it's constantly like a work in progress, really. Like you're always going to have to learn and stuff. I don't think really you'll ever get to a point where you just know everything. And maybe if you do get to a point where you know everything about the job and you're not moving up or anything, I mean, that's probably a good indication that you need to try and find something else. But yeah, like I said, basically it's always like they're never going to tell you exactly what you're going to be doing in the job. So all you can do is really study up and do your best.
Yeah, no, that's I think life advice. Study up and do your best. So coming to you, I know you've been on the job probably the shortest amount of time. I still want to ask you, despite having an amazing manager, are there things that are turning out to be different than you had anticipated, or is everything just falling into place the way you chartered it to be?
I would say the technical side and the studying, that is what I'm really comfortable with. Like, I love learning new languages. And so studying for my Security Plus was like learning a new language. And that I was really comfortable with. What I am sort of getting used to now is I've never worked in a corporate job. I've always been a teacher, or I worked in a bakery, or worked in childcare, but never a corporate desk job. And so for me, it was communicating with vendors, because I've been doing a lot of that for my new job. And should I CC the rep when I'm talking to the engineer, or what's the politest way to say this without seeming like a pushover, or things like that. And so, and there are really wonderful resources like Ask a Manager, things like that. For me, that's really helpful to brush up on. So if you've never worked in a corporate job, I would recommend doing a little research on that. But it's also something that you just pick up as you get used to it, because people understand that you're new and are willing to cut you a little slack.
Yeah. So final question to with you, Jessica, for a bit is looking at the next generation, right? And it's hard to look at the next generation. You guys are all under 25, but still there are, I mean, middle schoolers, high schoolers. In fact, I was talking to a CISO of mine, Helen Patton, who was the ex-SSO at Ohio State and currently at Cisco, and she is going to address high schoolers next week. And so she put this poll up on LinkedIn saying, hey, what kind of things should we be talking to high schoolers about, right? So again, putting you on the spot is, why cybersecurity? And if somebody's looking at it from a high school perspective, like what advice?
Ooh, why cybersecurity? Well, since I went through this thought process rather recently, it's still pretty fresh in my brain. I like cybersecurity because it requires you to be a lifelong learner. My aspect and look, how I've looked at life has always been, if you stop learning, then you're dead. So it's really exciting to always have something new to pick up. And sometimes it can be overwhelming, but it's just really nice to just keep learning and growing and developing as a person. So I would say for high schoolers, it's a wonderful path because you always get to be learning something new. There's the opportunity to work remote, especially in this post-COVID world, which can be really wonderful. Think about all of the young professionals who can be global nomads and work from northern Italy if they want to, because their work is remote. And also it has a purpose, right? Because even if you're working for a company and you're helping them prevent a data breach, sure, you're helping them save money, but at the same time, you're also protecting people's personal data. Or think about when that personal data is sold, that money goes to even worse things, and child trafficking, illegal arms. So it's really wonderful because you're there doing something good for the world in addition to doing your job.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I wish that I could have told myself when I was in high school about the things that I'm doing today and some of the resources that are around. Because I mean, obviously, how would you ever know? Like, there's no cybersecurity courses at a high school. Like that's crazy, right? But yeah, I mean, I wish in high school I would have, I don't know, learned like basic like hardware and networking and security and stuff like that. Like I learned that way late in college, and I had never heard of pretty much any of it. So it was all very new to me, and it was very tough to learn. But if you start learning that stuff when you're young, I mean, yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. And like Jessica said, I mean, you can always be learning. There's always new things to learn. So like if you started when you're in high school, I mean, you could be, you would be so far ahead of everyone. You would be, in cybersecurity, there's a lot of really awesome job opportunities, some really interesting work to be done, and the salaries are great as well. And I mean, like Jessica said, I mean, you can work remotely. I currently work remotely. I love it. I think it's so great. I get so much time to myself, and like I don't have to commute or anything. And like she said, like you can live anywhere. Like, so yeah, it just offers a lot of flexibility and freedom. And yeah, that's it.
All right, great. So Northern Italy again. So two, that's two. So finally, okay. So Joshua, take us home. Advice for high schoolers.
I wish I could take it home, but they really nailed it. Like I don't have much to add, to be honest. Those are pretty much all the highlights of taking advantage of like this opportunity. Thankfully, a lot of younger folks, those of them that have access to electronics, have the time and to explore. So maybe the last thing I could add is make great use of your time, even though you're not, you might think you're not in demand right now. The moment you are eligible for the workforce, there's demand. So there's like it's still like use time wisely, and like Nicholas said, there's great salaries out there, particularly in cybersecurity.
Awesome. Again, I knew this was going to be amazing. So again, you guys blew every barometer out there that I had. So again, thanks for your time, Joshua. Thanks for your time, Jessica, and thanks for your time, Nicholas.